Okay, let's go.
Hi, in this video, I am going to reflect on the writing lesson I uploaded to YouTube. In this lesson, I focused on a task-based learning approach, and I also tried to incorporate real-life situations in order to make foreign language learning more engaging. I am working with teenage adult students at the at university level, so I believe it is very important to connect the content with their context and interests. The main objective of my lesson was for students to be able to write short paragraphs. First, they wrote about themselves, including information such as their name, age, where they live, what they like, and what they do. For this, I gave them a small worksheet where it asked them for that information. Then they also wrote about another person they met. We were pretending that they were looking at Facebook profiles and they met a friend through Facebook, and they had to tell a friend or somebody about that person that they met. And with that, they had to create a short paragraph. Now, in terms of the materials I used, I printed Facebook profiles that I designed myself. These profiles served as models so students could observe how a short text is structured and what kind of vocabulary and expressions they could use. The idea was to provide input before asking them to produce their own writing. Regarding techniques I applied, elements of the process writing approach, such as planning, drafting, and revising. Students first generated ideas by writing about themselves and then moved on to a second task where they had to create a new profile using random information. For this, I gave them pieces of paper with different countries, likes, and activities, and they selected them from a bag. Based on that information, they had to invent a person and write a paragraph. First, they had to fill out the little worksheet I gave them. That helps them for the planning stage of the writing. And then with that information from the worksheet, they had to create a paragraph. And I believe this activity helped scaffold the writing process and made the lesson more engaging. This lesson was not teacher centered, teacher dominated. Students were able to work independently most of the time, and my role was mainly to monitor and provide support when needed. I did not use specific grouping arrangements as most of the work was done individually, or all of the work was done individually. At the beginning, I thought that my students who are studying master's degree might not participate actively because they seemed very serious. However, they actually engaged well in the activities, which was very gratifying for me. One challenge I faced was that I planned to project the Facebook profiles using a projector so that we could read them out loud and all students could see um, the design of the paragraph. But this wasn't possible. I don't think it affected because I gave them a printed version of the profile so they could analyze them, and well, that also worked. I mostly followed my lesson plan, but I also made some adjustments. For example, I added an activity where students wrote their paragraphs on the board and read them aloud. This allowed us to do feedback and correction as a group. I also added the activity with random profile cards, which was not originally planned. I believe these changes improved the lesson because students had more opportunities to practice and were better guided before completing the final task. In terms of results, students were able to write their paragraphs successfully. Their writing was understandable, although they made some mistakes, especially with third person singular verbs and the use of prepositions. However, these errors are part of the learning process and shows that students are developing their language. The most successful part of the lesson was when students wrote about themselves and read their paragraphs aloud. Um, this activity increased their engagement because they were talking about something meaningful and personal. I believe my teaching philosophy was reflected in this lesson, as I aim to create, like I have mentioned before, meaningful and contextualized learning experiences where students actively use language. If I were to improve something, I would incorporate more collaborative work into the lesson. Most of the activities, all of the activities actually, um, were carried out individually. And although students exchanged profiles during the final task, and when the students were writing on the board their paragraphs, the rest, if they found something, they helped the student, to make the corrections. But all the activities were intended to be individual work. I believe that including pair or group activities could have enhanced interaction and provided more opportunities for students to share ideas and support each other during the writing process. This could help develop communicative skills alongside writing. Additionally, I would improve the feedback stage by making it more structured or interactive overall. I consider the lesson effective, and I believe students were engaged and able to complete the writing task successfully. However, integrating more collaborative elements would make the lesson even more dynamic and beneficial for students.